I had a crazy day, so I'm going to be unprepared for this interview, but we're going to try to make it work. You're probably going to school me in a lot of topics, so we'll see what happens there. Um, this interview is, just a Palestine Israel interview. And but first I need to verify to make sure that we could use you because we don't want anybody who's like moderate and we don't want anybody pro-Israel. So just to make the interview interesting. Um, are you feeling okay about it? Is everything set up okay for you? Are you feeling comfortable, Sarah? Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay, good.
totally.
Yeah, let me know if anything's like there's any discomfort or something's like in the way that you need like a second. Um,
Cool. Word. Thanks.
okay. You mentioned that you believe Israel is an apartheid state, it's committing genocide, and it's a colonizing oppressor, and October 7th was justified act of resistance. So, just as a verification, before we start the actual interview, I just wanted to make sure, why did you say those things?
Yeah. Um, I mean, there's a lot of reasons why I believe all those things. I definitely don't have like, especially like in within the US, like, not everyone has this point of view. And some people might even find it like extreme or something, but I believe that this is like the humanitarian, like, I don't know, view of it, what's been happening for decades. Like, it's 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 really horrible for everyone in that region, like everyone.
By
But like
everyone, you mean mostly
especially
like the Muslims, the Arabs, or the
I think
Palestinians?
everyone in the Middle East and Israelis, like, I mean, we are coming at this from a place of privilege. Like, me and you are not living in a war zone, at least not that I don't know where you live, but like, we don't know what it's like to have to go into a bomb shelter. We don't know what it's like to have like a house like, you know, gone from one day to the next, having to.
The other question is, okay, so you're saying a lot of people are suffering, but you're not talking about the Israelis. You're not talking about the bombings that they're experiencing. You're talking about Gaza, right? Because I want to make sure that you're not like a moderate. I want to
No,
like
yeah, yeah. I just feel like honestly, it's just hard because, with these things, like it gets easily like I don't want to come off in the wrong way either because I don't want to offend anyone, from the beginning. But like, I just think that like, yeah, I mean, I
no. Well,
don't.
the whole point of this is like offending. When we don't want to offend somebody, we repress certain like thoughts and beliefs that are very dangerous, and we keep it inside until
Yeah,
it comes out. So like this is the I don't want you saying anything that you're going to feel completely uncomfortable with, but we could ease into some things. Then you could say things that like you could be like, my friend believes this. You don't have to say I believe this.
yeah.
Yeah. So.
But I mean, to be completely open, like
Mhm.
my beliefs are yes, that like I don't. I mean, again, and I remember even there was a question about the U.S. Like, I believe that just like the U.S., Israel is just does like its creation. Like, I don't think it deserves to exist right now in the way that it does in any capacity, but not at all. Given the
Okay,
fact that there
so
was
Israel doesn't
what?
deserve to exist, and like I'm just gonna be cutting you off like here a little bit just to make sure it
Yeah,
can be good for the interview. Um, so October 7th, do you feel like it was um a justified act of resistance on the side of of Gaza?
I think yes. Like, I think it being a justified act of resistance does not make it this shit is like going to be violent. Like if there is a state that is a like settler colonial state, the the process of decolonization is inherently violent. And we cannot just talk about decolonization and land back for indigenous people without talking about that it's going to take the colonizer out of the comfort zone. We have to like
Okay.
give up things basically.
Good.
So
You're
yeah,
so you're
yeah.
someone that yeah, so there will be times with you where I will be probably cutting you off just because I like staying on topic and I try to avoid looping with the people that I speak to. Looping is like repeating a thing over and over again. And we're going to try to like keep it concise. I think that you have so much that you want to say, so I will be as patient as possible because because I think you have a lot of important things that you want to say. Um so let's start it with let's start it this way. Um,
Mhm. Wait, I'm sorry, could I
yeah,
ask?
yeah, yeah, yeah. Go ahead.
Oh, could I ask what is this for exactly?
Yeah. So, I believe the only way that we could have peace is through discussion with people on the opposite sides. I'm pretty pro Israel, but I don't want any more people of Palestine to die. Um, and I'm trying to speak with radical people who are radically pro Palestine. And I think that the more we discuss this and the more we have these videos of opposing sides talking, the more we could find a peaceful solution. So that's what these videos are for. Because
Okay.
I feel like a lot of people are very passionate about this and they have certain thoughts that could be pretty destructive, but if we dissect those thoughts, maybe we could find something more peaceful. So I see what you're saying about like, well, because Israel is a colonizing oppressor, they have to feel the pain of what it's like to be decolonized, right? And it's like, yeah, you could say that, but my problem is that it's going to cause more Palestinian kids and civilians to die in that process. And I personally do not like that idea because I really don't want more people to die on either side. So like as you said, we come from a privileged background. We're here in the United States and we're not suffering from explosions right now. And then I noticed that a lot of the pro-Palestinian people are saying, yes, I want more terrorism in Israel, which is going to cause more bombings into Gaza. And it's like the people in the United States are playing with the lives of the people in Gaza. They're using them as pawns to fulfill their like political agenda of destroying Israel.
Yeah.
So I don't know how that's fair to the people of Palestine, especially since the people in Gaza, they're already getting funding from Iran and and let's leave the UN out of it. We could talk about that later, but they're getting funding from Iran and they're getting brainwashed from a young age to kill themselves in the name of God, in the name of the state, in the name of Palestine. They're taught that from the time that they're kids. So they're already being used as pawns for the political objectives of the people who are living in Qatar and Iran, the leadership there, while they take in
Yeah.
billions of dollars. So I see what you're saying, that Israel has to feel the pain, but the more Israel feels the pain, the more the civilians of Gaza will feel the pain. So that's my perspective about that.
Hmm.
And I don't like that. So
Yeah.
the way I usually conduct these interviews is we want to find a common goal. Everybody has a different common goal. Some people's goals are to preserve the lives of the Palestinians. That's my common goal. Maybe that's not yours. So we so it, maybe we can't even find a common goal here because well we'll see. What common goal could we have? And then after we find a common goal, I'm going to listen to your full perspective for like, 10 minutes or something. I want to know every thought that you have about this and I want to understand it completely and I want to repeat it back to you to make sure you feel understood. So we're going to do that too. But first, let's do that first. Let's do that first. Tell me, I would like to know your thoughts about this, if you could like condense it to the best of your ability about what's
Hmm.
going on. So, and then I will try to repeat it back to you after you finish.
All right. Should I start now?
Yes, please.
Okay. like is also open to that. So like I just want to be careful as to not to offend is for a lot of people. And I know what my views are, but like I do acknowledge that, there's a lot of, a lot of complicated, like, I don't know, stuff in this.
The
It is
last
complicated.
person that I
Here.
spoke to was actually Jewish Ukrainian, and she's also very anti-Israel and pro-Palestine. So you're not the only one. There are like two sides of it, and this other side so like you could understand both sides, which is good, which means that you're probably more qualified to like talk about this topic than most people. I know. Okay, yeah. But so a part of you feels like you have a view that will not be accepted by society, correct?
Um, in some ways, yeah, I think, and I think with certain kinds of people, I'm not gonna like scream it in their face, but it's like I stand firmly in what I stand for. Like and again, with my background, like there's a lot of, I think also I mean, I can just say like as someone who is Jewish, there's a lot of ridiculous like claims of anyone being anti-Zionist, meaning that they're anti-Semitic, which I I mean,
How do you feel about that? Like, for example, Israel is committing the from what you're saying, let's just say Israel's committing genocide, right? And people are
yeah,
going out there, they're like destroying menorahs for in New York City, and it's
yeah,
like so if somebody does a terrorist bombing like in Afghanistan, does that give like a white supremacist the right to like bully a Muslim person in Indiana? Like so are you saying
yeah.
that what's happening like in Israel we could split that off from like the Jewish people in different countries, or do you feel like all Jews are like connected and therefore should be treated harshly?
Well, I just think again, like as I said, like a bit earlier, this issue is complicated. This state is inherently complicated. Israel, as like it's controversial. Like when you think of even before the October 7th or
Well,
even,
let's just stick to that question. We could talk about it before October 7th, but let's just stick to that. If
yeah.
you don't feel like answering it, you could tell me, hey, Alex, I don't feel like answering it, and we could switch topics. But I would
No,
like
no,
to
no,
stay
no.
on
I
that.
can answer.
Okay.
Wait, can you just like clarify exactly like what part of the question? I mean, I think I was
Yeah.
just going into, yeah.
It's okay. It's okay. It happens. So if like a terrorist bombing happens in like Afghanistan, is it okay for somebody to do something to like say a derogatory statement against a Muslim person in like London because of that? Could I mistreat somebody because of what somebody else did?
Obviously, that's just a given. Like, I think it's just like, I think there's things also where I think, frustrating or feels like
And the Jews too?
that's
The Jews too, like in New York City, the ones who are being
obviously.
like,
I
all
mean,
right, all right.
I
So
think it's, yeah,
okay, I wanted to
like,
separate that. I want to see where you're at. Like, is it just Israel that's a problem, or are Jews that are the problem? So that's what I was
I
trying
mean,
to get at.
again, I am a Jewish person, so here's my like well opinion. It's like I think, as someone who is both Jewish and also has a, you know, like Jewish dad, like I can say that, and who has like a different opinion than me. Um, I can say that I think it's like it's frustrating to me. I think how many people also like are equating, being Jewish with like having to just accept the war crimes and uh like murders of the Israeli state. Like that has nothing to do with, being Jewish.
Are
It's
you
a
are
pawn.
you opposed
I
to the war crimes just that Israel does, or like other countries like the United States and England and stuff and the
I
U?
mean the United States as well, obviously.
Yeah.
This is just a colonial project led by other bigger colonial projects, and the Jewish people are used as pawns in this kind of game. This has nothing to do with Judaism or being a Jew. And anyone, in my opinion, who's conflated with that has been, uh, you know,
Are there any
the same thing
countries
happened.
are there any countries or empires that you feel like had the right to colonize others?
No.
What
And I
about
think with
like the
Israel, it's like,
what about like the Muslim nations, like the spread of Islam and Saudi Arabia and Ottoman Turk, uh, the Ottoman Turkish Empire, and you know, what about like those, like the Muslim expansionism? Do you think that was wrong too, or do you feel like they had the right to expand their religion?
I think it depends, like, and I think all of this given, everything that happened was just, it went really, like, if you look at right now how the
Yep.
Middle East is and how even just the United States is doing in the context of like history,
Do you think people disagree with you there?
well,
I don't think anybody
I think,
disagrees with you there. I think
no,
that
no, no.
even
Here, let me
yeah.
just like, I guess, okay, basically what I'm trying to say is like, one, in a way, yes, we are coming from, a place we experience different kinds of violence as the consequences of, you know, centuries of settler colonialism and, in the United States, like colonialism, slavery,
So what should
just
we do about that
imperialism.
problem? Okay, so what should we do about that problem? So the United
And no,
States,
and no, no, let me,
we've
okay,
colonized
so
we've colonized
basically,
other
if this
people,
is,
right? So shouldn't we deserve punishment for our colonial sins?
no, let me explain. We, okay, when like, we actually do not have, this is where, like, my point was going, but when I say, like, oh, we're, you know, are coming from a place of privilege, although I do believe that, I also believe that we are oppressed, all of us, in a different way. And I don't mean instantly of capitalism that we experience in different ways. And I,
I can hear you. The last thing that I said was talk to me about oppression because the last person that I spoke to, she used that same word. And it seems like when people think of Israel, they have this feeling of being oppressed. The same way when they see police officers, they have this feeling of being oppressed. When they see the wealthy CEOs, they have this feeling of being oppressed. And when they think about capitalism, they have this feeling of being oppressed. So I feel like to me, it seems less about Israel killing people, more about like this feeling of oppression for some reason. So talk to me about why you're using that term.
I mean, there is a Starbucks on every few blocks. The money you pay for that, latte is going to fund literal weapon in Israel because the is sending money to Israel and works with the state that is then being sent to kill Palestinians. But I don't want to do that.
How does it feel
You
for you
know,
that Starbucks is at this capitalist system and this forced payments, this being forced into capitalism and all this money going into weapons that's going to kill Palestinian civilians? How does all of that make you feel? Is it like angry or hopeless or despair? Like, what does it make you, how does it make you feel?
To be completely honest, like I think it's funny that everyone's like now being like Starbucks, Starbucks. Like I I think Starbucks should have been boycotted a while ago. Beyond what's happening with Palestine, inherently it's one of like the major corporations of the United States. It's inherently like
So how does Starbucks make you
I
feel? Because like you're saying it's
it
evil. So how does it make you
yeah,
feel?
it upsets me. It makes me feel like we are being run by like a dictatorship of capital, basically.
So what's the alternative?
To
What kind of world would you like to see?
see, that's like the beautiful question that I think people also fail to ask themselves and each other is the revolutionary imagination of what can we do? What are we capable of doing as human beings? Well, how can we like treat each other? Like, is equality possible? I think we are not, I think humans do have like equality where they care about each other. And I think a lot of in place already in a way, but they're completely mismanaged. And, you know, I think it's like we know we have the capacity um to like create to coexist with each other. Humans are not we can't survive alone. We need each other at the end of the day. And there is like a better world. I mean, I think I think even if hypothetically like we never experience it, there you know, it's worth fighting for the chance that
Can
there
I ask you
is.
something? If
Because
we could create this better world under the monetary system of like let's say under communism, right? Under socialism and communism, but it's a better world where we care about each other. So first, is that something that you would like?
yeah.
Okay, I have another question for you. What if we could have that same world, but somehow under capitalism, where where the owners and managers actually care about the people, and there's actually more equality than what we have now. Same exact world where people are polite to each other, care about each other, but through capitalism. Would that still be okay, or it has to be communism?
Um, it's just funny because capitalism can't exist without oppression. It is
But
inherently
but
oppressive.
I know, but I'm saying like I know it's inherently oppressive. I know, I understand. But what I'm saying in this magical
So no,
world where it's possible, like in a
I
magical
don't think that
world,
is possible.
I know,
Yeah.
I know you're saying you
Like
don't think it's possible. No, I understand that. I understand that. I understand because you have a certain viewpoint of capitalism. I understand. What I'm saying is, if in a magical fairy tale world, we're not going to go into how we can make it happen, like none of that stuff. What I'm saying is like you might not even have a proper viewpoint of what capitalism and communism is. If we talk about it, maybe you'll realize exactly like where you actually don't know what you're talking about, and then I'll realize where I don't know what I'm talking about. Maybe we both have no idea what the actual definition of capitalism and communism is. We have to accept that we don't know everything. So, because of that, I'm asking you if under capitalism, in a fairy tale world, in an alternate universe, there was real equality, would that be okay with you? Where everybody's happy, everything's equitable, and we all have equal rights. Would you like that?
no.
No. Okay. Okay. Continue.
Again, as I said, I don't think that's possible. I don't think that's
What do you think about the Scandinavian?
inherently
What do you
you
think about
can't
this? What do you think about? I know,
you
I understand, I understand that you're saying you don't think it's possible.
wait, can I just
You,
say one thing? Sorry,
but you don't. No, you don't need to say it 100 times. I understand that you don't think it's
no,
possible.
I just have a different, it's a different point. I
Okay.
just don't think that like it's like we're separating, just these words from also their legacies and histories. I
Look,
think that
white people have had a very terrible legacy, right? It doesn't give me the right to kill you. Black people in Africa,
wait,
you think they
sorry,
didn't, you
it's
think
cutting out, it's cutting out.
everybody has a
Wait, it cut
terrible.
out.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Okay, can you restart? Okay.
All right. Everybody has a terrible legacy. I don't think somebody should be hurt based on what somebody else did. That's what they do in North Korea. And you have no idea how many tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of women have been raped because of what their ancestors did. If you want that kind of life, you could go to North Korea. I don't want that life for you. I want you to be happy. I don't want you to be punished for something that your ancestors or somebody who looked like you did.
Oh,
Why would I
I
want that
don't
for
think
you?
anyone I don't think anyone deserves to be punished. Period. I don't think anyone
No,
ever
yeah, if you kill
deserves.
someone, you deserve to be punished. Why should you be
I'm
allowed to walk around and kill somebody else?
like I don't think that you deserve to die.
What do you think about the Scandinavian countries? Like Norway, Sweden, Finland. What do you think about those countries?
I mean, I think they're very I think when I think about them, it's hard to imagine, because I again grew up in the US mostly. And even if I hadn't, in Chile, it's also like capitalism. It's always the example, like one of the best examples to use in terms of socialism and communism. Um,
But
to
is it a
have
good
like a
example?
talking,
Is it a good
yes, and I
example?
think yes.
Do you think that's something that we should
However,
strive for?
I do think through that.
Can we just pause for a second? I'm just trying to
Yeah.
show you like the beauty of what life could be in like the Scandinavian countries, and for some reason you're going back to all the horrible things in the world instead of thinking about the positive things that we could create together. Why are you doing that?
Wait, sorry. Can you repeat that? I didn't get
Yeah,
it.
I'm trying to ask you about your opinion about like this uh in my opinion, beautiful society in the Scandinavian nations. They're not perfect, but I think it's the closest thing that we have to perfection. It's the closest thing. And for some reason, you're going back to like colonialism and like all the despair in the world and the terror that people are feeling. I don't know. I don't understand why. Like, does that make sense?
Um, when did I go back to that?
I was like,
Sorry, I
what do you?
don't
Yeah,
remember. I
you mentioned. Well, if you replay the video, you'll see where you were going. What do you think about those countries? Do you think that's a good model for us to
I
strive
said I
towards?
think they're yes, I think they're great, but I think that like realistically, it's like what that would look like in the US is definitely different.
I'm not
I mean,
asking about the
even to
US.
start by
I'm sorry.
saying
I'm not.
that
Are you able to hear me? Like, I'm not
we
talking about the
have
US.
like a much more diverse group of okay, I said yes. I think those are good examples.
Why do you think they're good examples?
I mean, even the rates of like depression and suicide are lower sometimes in a lot of those countries. Anyone who has healthcare, like universal healthcare and systems to go to school, like of course they're going to be, it's I would love that. I think I would really